Oh, we haven't gotten those yet. Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful to have you with us. I just want to point out we have a number of guests from TCU here with us tonight. It's that time of year when they have to do a report on another faith, and we are blessed by their presence these weeks. And if you are visiting and your questions are not all answered, I want to ask, he's already there, Dr. Michael Ross is over here, and anyone's happy to answer your questions, but he's especially eager to answer your questions. The prayers we join in on, some in Hebrew, some in English, some in Ladino, are traditional prayers. The way we are worshiping this week is not a typical Shabbat service for us, although we hope to make it more and more so, but it is one way the Jews have worshiped in different countries over time, and we're glad you're here with us, and he can answer so many of those questions. As we prepare for Shabbat first, I want to thank John Sauvey, wherever he is, who is an integral part of this preparation and came down with not contagious, but bronchitis among other things, and he cannot sing, but he put his heart and soul into this, and we want to thank him for all the work that goes into this. Do not think that while he's running around over there with sound that he wasn't very, very involved. And of course, Cantor, Shoshana, Abrams-Kaikov, our educator, and our wonderful musicians whose names are in your sheets. Tonight, as our service touches on many Latin themes and music and cultures, some of the page numbers will be shared with you, and some you can just listen. We come here tonight for many, many reasons. First, to those who are at home and unable to be with us, if you are ill, we pray for speedy recovery. The members of our congregation are watching this service streamed, and we thank those from our brotherhood who work hard to make sure these services are made available on Friday nights. In addition, for those who are not able to be with us for other reasons, we hope you're having a Shabbat Shalom wherever you are. We come together for many different reasons. Some of us arisen from periods of mourning, and we offer you our prayers for strength. Some of us returning from time of illness. Some of us are here to celebrate the joy of Shabbat. Some of us just to seek some solitude or some singing, however we observe the Sabbath. So as we prepare for Kabbalat Shabbat, the service that welcomes the Sabbath into our midst, first, before we do that, I want to ask you once again to turn to those near you, and if there's someone in need of a hug, give them a hug. If they're in need of a handshake, if they're in need of a Shabbos kiss, wherever they're at this Friday night, all are welcome, and we are glad you're here with us. And so we say, Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi. We could say Shabbat Shalom, but tonight I'm going to say when Shabbat. Can we all say when Shabbat?
When Shabbat.
That is the Spanish version of Shabbat Shalom. I have to say it is such a treat to be able to celebrate Shabbat with all of you this evening. I know Rabbi mentioned it, but I also want to wish John a refuah shlema and thank him as well as our musicians and Rabbi for working so hard to put on this very special evening. Something that many people don't know about me is that I come from a Latin Jewish home. My mom was born in Havana, Cuba. My dad was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And my first language and my twin sister's first language was Spanish. And actually, we learned English from the Sesame Street. So I'm serious. So this service tonight excites me thoroughly. We'll sample on different Latin beats, a couple Ladino songs, and above all, I want us all to just have fun, pray, sing, dance, and enjoy what is Shabbat. I invite you all to please join us, and we'll begin with Shalom Aleichem on page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Please don't be shy and join me on Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharei, Malachei HaSharei, Malachei Yom, Mimelech, Malachei Amagim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Yom, Mimelech, Malachei Amagim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nil Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nil Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Nil Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem, Seitchem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu. In just a moment, we're going to continue on page 130 for Lechuna Ranana. Lechuneranena, 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 l'Adonai. I don't hear you. Lechuneranena, 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 l'Adonai. Naria, naria, l'sui shenu, nekama fana betoda. Naria, naria, l'sui shenu. Bizmir hod narialo, lechuneranena, 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 l'Adonai, lechuneranena, 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 l'Adonai. We'll continue on page 131 with Yismechu Hashemayim. Yismechu Hashemayim, Yismechu Hashemayim, Yismechu Hashemayim, Avetakel Haaretz. Yismechu Hashemayim, Hashemayim, Yismechu Hashemayim, Yismechu Hashemayim, Avetakel Haaretz. Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Elon. Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Elon. Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Elon. Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam, Elon. We're going to turn now to page 134 for Zamru Ladonai, and this melody was actually composed in South America, I believe in Argentina. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor Bekol Zimra, Bechatzotzrot Bekol Shofar, Hari Lifnei HaMelech Adonai, Yiram Hayam Umlor, Tevel Veyoshveiva, Neharot Imcha Uchav Yachad Arim Yaraneinu, Lifnei Adonai Kiva, Lishpot Haaretz, Yishpot Tevel B'tzedek, Ve'amim B'mei Sharim. Yiram Hayam, Yiram Hayam Umlor, Tevel Veyoshveiva, Neharot Imcha Uchav Yachad Arim Yaraneinu. We'll continue on page 135 with Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'ishachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, join me. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kosho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kosho. This next piece is actually not in our Siddur. You can actually find the words in the song sheet in your programs, and it's called Los Bilbilicos. It's a bit of a mouthful. It's one of the most famous Sephardic folk songs in Ladino, or Judeo-Spanish, which, if you're not familiar with, it's actually a combination of Spanish and Hebrew. And I hope that you will enjoy it, and you can feel free to join us. Los bilbilicos cantan con suspiros de amor. Los bilbilicos cantan con suspiros de amor. Mi neshama y mi ventura están en tu poder. Mi neshama y mi ventura están en tu poder. La rosa en florece en el mes de mayo. La rosa en florece en el mes point in our service, we're going to turn to page 138 for Lechadodi, something that I would assume is more familiar. We're going to actually be singing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and as is our custom, we will rise and face the doors as we welcome in the Sabbath bride at the very end, the last verse. Please join us. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה ממחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת כלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. You may be seated. We'll continue with Mizmor Shir, which can be found on page 140. This melody also comes from South America. I believe it also comes from Argentina. Mizmor Shir leyom hashabat, tov lehodot l'Adonai, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. That repeats, please join me. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך העליון, ולזמר לשמך העליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון וכינור. כי שימחתני אדוני
As we transition from Kabbalat Shabbat to the Baruch Hu and the next section of our service, we turn to page 147, a reading that could have been written for tonight. We read together, "There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nivarech, let us bless. Please rise."
Baruch Hu. Et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Please join me.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Le'olam va'ed. Lilas, everyone. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai.
I'll invite you to remain standing as we turn to page 152 for Shema. Please join me.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one.
and you may be seated. We'll continue on page 158 with Mi Chamocha. Please join me. Mi Chamocha, Vayrim Adonai, Mi Chamocha, Nedor v'Kodesh. We'll sing that again. Mi Chamocha, Vayrim Adonai, Mi Chamocha, Nedor v'Kodesh, Nora Tehillah, Oseh Nora Tehillah, Oseh Malchutecha, Rahuvanecha, Bokeya Yalifei Moshe uMiriam, Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Ze'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai, Adonai, Yimloch, Yimloch, Le'olam, Adonai, Yimloch, Le'olam va'ed. And we'll continue with the Shamru on page 162. Please sing along. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam berit olam. Beini u'bein bnei Yisrael odi le'olam, odi le'olam, odi le'olam. V'shamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל שבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. And as we prepare for the traditional climax of our service, the Amidah Avot, we'll sing together Olam Chesed Yibaneh, which can be found on our song sheets. And please feel comfortable to join me. Ooh, ya da da.
Before we take some time for silent prayer, a couple of readings. The story of Sephardic Jews is a story of a people almost forgotten and then rediscovered, fleeing from land to land, finding themselves in Israel or in America, where their cultures and stories were often forgotten by a more dominant Ashkenazic culture. Albert D. Levy, who moved from Salonika to the East Coast and then eventually to Seattle, was a student of Sephardic culture and also the part of a Sephardic Ladino newspaper in the early part of the 20th century. This is one of his poems translated. He sent an official decree to the European provinces, commanding all the governors to not expel the Spanish refugees, to receive them with sweetness, to give them shelter in the city, to treat them as peaceful citizens. Therefore we give thanks to the sovereign, so good and sweet and very humane. The expelled Jews from Spain, they began to live better days. Thousands established themselves in Turkey, forming a grand family, organizing themselves in various communities, displaying effort and activity. They opened schools, they founded synagogues, they organized various institutions. In a short time, they witnessed success, making noteworthy progress. The Jews in the Ottoman Empire made a superhuman effort. They created an Eastern Spain in their private and national lives. This poem was written in Ladino and then translated by Ashley Ray Bobman in 2016. The Jews expelled from Spain, the exiled sheltered themselves in Turkey. Here days lived were better for the Jews expelled from Spain. When many established themselves in Turkey, a community formed that quickly witnessed success, a progression worth remembering. The Sephardim spoke Spanish and kept traditions and customs. The Jewish refugees in Salonika established themselves. Today, the Jewish community in Salonika, because of its numerous sufferings, is no longer great, demonstrating much less Jewish activity. Here in America, our community has much liberty, rest, calm, and tranquility. But today we are small, and our customs are slowly lost. With the last generation of Ladino speakers, the language of Ladino will die. But I encourage the community not to allow this. Our language and culture must be preserved, and with them our community. The Sephardim did not go through struggles numerous and difficult to be lost. Our numbers decline. Even worse, our language disappears as generations age. But there's something else you need to know. Ashley Ray Bobman, a student at the University of Washington in 2016, was the great-granddaughter of Albert Levy. Talking to one of the professors there at their Department of Sephardic Studies, the professor discovered that she had many of the untranslated books and records and stories of Albert Levy. She taught herself Ladino, she wrote this poem, and over 4 years helped to bring back to life dozens and dozens of his teachings for their archives. Generations continue. Often we look at the chains that bind us to those in the past, and we think they're broken, only to discover that they are buried, covered with a little dust, waiting for us to dust them and polish them and make them sparkle again. Tefillah is a series of prayers that begin by connecting us to parents and grandparents and great-grandparents long forgotten, to make them shine again through the brightness of memory. And so tonight we take a few moments seated, silently, either to look at some of the prayers between 165 and 175, perhaps to look at Avot Va'imahot and reflect on the connections of our ancestors, our own personal connections, or to take some time for silent prayer and reflection as we consider our past and our commitment to them in the future. We take some time for silent prayer and reflection.
We'll invite you now to please join us with another very traditional Ladino folk song. It's called Cuando el Rey Nimrod, and you can find the words in your song sheets. When King Nimrod went out into the fields one night, he looked up at the heavens and at all the beautiful stars. And he saw holy light just above the Jewish quarter, a sign that Abraham, our father, was about to be born. Abraham, our patriarch, our dear father, blessed father, light of Israel.
Cuando el rey Nimrod al campo salía, miraba en el cielo y en la estrellería, vida santa en la yutería que había de nacer Abraham Avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de Israel. Abraham Avinu, Padre querido, Padre bendito, luz de Israel.
as we do every Shabbat, we will now say a prayer for all those in need of healing of mind, body, and spirit. And please join us as we sing together, Heal Us Now.
Refainu Adonai v'nerafe, Hoshienu v'nivasheya, El karov lechol korav, ach karov lireav yishon. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole and glorified. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh u'refuat ha-guf. Refuat shalema and glorified. Oh, please heal us now. Please heal us Refuat ha-nefesh u'refuat ha-guf. Refuat shalema. Heal us now. Heal us now. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachlatecha, urev nasem ad haolam. Mishaberach avotenu, Mishaberach imotenu, Adonai Hoshiana. We pray for healing of our people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation, every child, every woman, every man. And glorify. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh u'refuat ha-guf. Refuat
Page 586, we rise and face the ark for Elena.
לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
ונאמר
והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. A reflection from last week's Torah portion, Noah, by Rabbi Mark Angel, who, in keeping with the theme of tonight, was the rabbi of, still is associated after 5 decades, the rabbi of Cherith, Israel, in New York City, which is also known by the name the Spanish-Portuguese Synagogue, and is quite a scholar on Spanish-Portuguese and Sephardic traditions and teachings and Torah scholars, and in fact tends to primarily quote just Sephardic rabbis and scholars in his teachings. Rabbi Angel says forecasters and marketers have come up with a word to describe a current trend, cocooning. The term refers to a growing phenomenon in which people increasingly strive for a sense of personal space by cutting themselves off from the outside world. They avoid social interactions by enclosing themselves in their own private world to the extent possible. Rabbi Angel continues, a midrash imagines a conversation between Noah and God after the flood had wiped out the population. When leaving the ark, Noah was stunned by the devastation and the immense loss of life. He called out to God, "Lord, why did you do this? Why didn't you spare the people this calamity?" God replied, "Noah, why didn't you pray for the people when I first informed you of their impending destruction? If you had only spoken up then, I would not have brought the flood. You offered no protest or prayer. You only went off to build your ark." Rabbi Angel shares that Noah was a cocooner. He surely had a right and responsibility to look out for himself and his family, yet by being a cocooner, he lost his sense of connection with society. He did not internalize a personal responsibility for others. Let others take care of themselves. It's their problem, not mine. The Midrash points out that Noah's cocooning ultimately played a role in the destruction of society. If he had been more involved with others, he could have prayed to God to avert the flood. Rabbi Angel says we all have a right to private space, but we all have a responsibility to the public at large. We need to be sure we maintain that proper balance. As we come to the Kaddish, we find the opposite of that idea. Each of us grieves in different ways. It is natural, it is human, it is most desirable to go into our own place and not come out. And yet Judaism demands something more painful as it may be. While we cocoon part of the time, we break out, we come into a room often filled with strangers. We say the Kaddish with them because we know that somewhere else in that room is someone else privately grieving. And we owe it to them as we owe it to the community and to ourselves to mourn as one, strengthened by the power of their voices. As we mourn for many who touched our lives, we have to mention one of them, Dr. Richard Yuntus, whose prayers and love and joy filled this building. Dr. Yentis, whatever he may have done on his own time, was not a cocooner. You could see him walking this building on any given day, taking a donut, bringing a donut, sharing a joke, walking the halls. Are you lost, Dr. Yentis? No, I'm just going to check out what's going on in the school. I'm just going to wander by the social hall. I'm going to join in a class. I can't tell you how many weeks we would tell congregants, come to the bar bat mitzvah service, be a part of the community. The one person always sitting there in the back was Dr. Yentis when he was able. Did you know the family? No. It was a service. I thought I should be at the service. I thought the family should see that I support them. He was not a cocooner, and his voice and story still fill this building. And the love he had for it and for this congregation of which he was a member for over 50 years is not forgotten. It is our custom when we hear the name of a loved one or one we knew to offer to stand to bring strength to those who are mourning if we are comfortable. And so as we turn to page 598 on this Shabbat, we mention those who have passed away in this 30-day period of mourning known as Shloshim. We mention Beverly Beck, Holly Clegg, and Dr. Richard Yentis. And we mention the yard sites, the anniversaries of their deaths on this Shabbat, of Lynn Altman, Sheldon Anisman, Harold Baum, Miriam Volyansky-Braverman, Robert Karp, Roger Cohen, Anna Echt, Robert Eisman, Samuel A. Frankrich, Ben Friedman, David Ginsburg, Joseph Goldgraber, Sonia Glazer-Gressman, Sheridan Libby, Hattie Minker, Betty Mintz, Samuel G. Myron, Kathleen Mitchell, Ruth Rosenblum proper, Margaret Littman Rosenthal, Louis P. Rosenwasser, Jeanette Baker Ross, Henry Schiff, Belle Schultz, Larry Schultz, Martin Lewis Schiffman, Beatrice Frankrich Slatkin, Max Switzman, Marion Werner. We rise to offer support to those who are in mourning. We join together in the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabba, bi'almal divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye echon u'v'yom echon u'v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'galal v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitalev v'yitala shmei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Da'amiram bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Zichronam levracha, may the source of peace bring strength and peace to all of us who mourn, so the memories of those we love shall be for a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Amen. Please be seated. Before we include, again, thank you. First, a reminder, we have some visitors from Beth Shalom with us this Shabbat. And as you may know, Julia Eisenfeld, who was a member of that congregation, was not well enough to be with us here tonight, is in Dallas with her family. But her work covers our boardroom. Her work is part of our exhibit these few months. If you didn't get a chance to look at it, it will be up a couple more months. We encourage you to go and see it. We're glad they're here with us. If you are visiting and want to know more about Judaism, anybody can answer your questions, but Dr. Ross is an especially good person. If you are visiting, just checking out the synagogue, and you didn't know, for the early services, we first we pray after. For the late services, we pray first, we eat after. But I'm here. If you're a visitor, I'll be right here. Come on up and say hello. Maybe we can find a piece of chocolate for you, but at least we can welcome you to the congregation. And for everyone, we're so glad you're here with us. Our Beth-El band will be with us for a Hanukkah concert at the end of December. You see that date here. That's going to be quite a day. We're going to have nifty Torites, high school students from all over DFW with us on that Shabbat. We're going to have our youth groupers, we're going to have adults, we're going to have our Hanukkah Cineplex. Kim Factor's already said she's going to offer a session on the mystery and meaning and joys of olive oil with samples offered. And we're going to have a wonderful meal catered by our MRJ. And we're working on the snow machine. We're not there yet, but we're trying to make it happen. So it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful night with a concert and with food and with joy for all ages and with this wonderful band. And John, we missed you, but we know you'll be a part of that night. Thank you all. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom. We'll conclude with a message of peace, Oseh Shalom, and the words can be found on page 180. Please join us.
Oseh Shalom b'Roma, Hu Yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Join me. Oseh Shalom b'Roma, Hu Yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, guys. No? All right, cool.
For them to, some of the noise to settle down a little bit. The Sauvey is up near the Galilee.